Back here on Radio Row, it is the Scouting Combine 2026. E.J. Snyder, Bootleg Football, with us here. And I don't know if you just saw the shenanigans that I got involved in. Apparently now I'm trying to run 40s.
Yeah, better you than me. So I don't know. I got to decide who I'm going to put money on.
Yeah, I have the confidence. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I have the confidence to do it. So I'm going to do it, and if I lose the bet, then it's a $1,000 bet that Ryan Hogue put out there. And he's always been trying to fire jabs at me. And Ryan's a good dude. But the facts are, I have as many career catches as he does in the NFL. So
you can stand on that. And we'll see. I don't know. I wouldn't bet against you.
Hey, look, that's all I need. I just need to have one person have my back, and I'm good to go. So the good thing is that the Raiders and no other team in the league is looking for me. They're not worried about me running a 40, but we're here at the Scouting Combine, and there's plenty that are running 40s. And, when it comes to the Raiders, they need a lot of help, but it starts at the top, and it starts with the quarterback. And obviously they got the number 1 overall pick. They have an opportunity to get Fernando Mendoza. There's a lot of conversation on what he is or what he isn't. So from your breakdown, when you see Fernando Mendoza, what are you seeing?
Well, starts with his frame, big guy, 6'5", 225. Started his career at Cal, was there for a couple of years, and then obviously goes on to Indiana and wins every award you can win as a quarterback, right? He goes and wins the national championship, he wins the Davey O'Brien, Heisman, everything. So when you really break it down on film, his completion percentage went up every year, which is great. You love to see that. His average depth of target went up. His ability to use the middle of the field's gone up, and I see a lot of Drake May's game in him. Okay. They're not the same athlete necessarily. Right. I think May's got a better arm, but Mendoza has that calmness in the pocket. Now, he's going to be asked to do different things than he was at Indiana when he gets to the Raiders.
Right.
But in terms of starting with raw materials, the frame, his ability to process, his ability to hit targets, his accuracy, those things are all there and are worthy of a top pick. I know a lot of people will talk about this quarterback class and say, oh, well, he's the only one, so sure he's number 1. But outside of that, he would be in that conversation anyways, even if there were other players here. Would he be number 1? Well, it's tough to say. It's hypothetical. We don't know who that class would be. But in any given class, he's still a first-round quarterback. He is that kind of talent. It's not just the fact that there's nobody else to compete with.
Right. And, the thing about it is everyone said last year that, hey, if you need a quarterback, next year is the one that that's the draft
People
class.
say it every year.
Every year, right?
Every year.
So I don't remember who said this to me, so I hate that I can't give them credit for it, but they said it's like going into the bar and seeing the sign that says free beer tomorrow.
100%. And every year people say it, and I caution people every year, be careful.
Right.
And you can just do that in hindsight. Go back and look at historical drafts. Go back and look at 12 months before Joe Burrow got drafted.
Right.
How many people were talking about Joe Burrow?
Exactly.
And the answer is not very many. Joe Burrow turned out to be terrific, won the national championship in the same way. But when you go back to, again, revisionist, right? You go back to 12 months before, the field is just very different. Again, go back and look at what people were saying about Nussmeier, who is in this class.
Right.
12 months ago. He was
going to be the guy.
Presumptive number 1.
Yeah.
Now, you can hardly get a mention of him.
Right.
So everything changes. It is a very dynamic landscape, but the Raiders have, pick number 1. Mendoza is there, and that's not a bad thing. I think he's a good match for the new coach coming in, and those are all things to be hopeful about as a Raiders fan.
What do you think that Mendoza needs to learn the most, or where he needs to really refine his game once he gets to the league?
That's a great question. And when you're looking at what quarterbacks do in college and how the systems are taught, it's very different than a pro offense. Pro offense, we hear this all the time. Playbook is thicker. He is going to be inundated. His ability to process is going to be challenged. Now, by all accounts, that's very good. He's a smart guy. He's a sharp guy. He's a quick guy. He's definitely a football guy. He's the guy that's texting his coach in the middle of the night.
Right.
So those are all great things, but that doesn't guarantee anything. We know that. We've seen lots of guys with that profile who have made it and who haven't. So it's not a determinant factor, but he's going in on the right foot. It is going to be a heavy load, and whenever you come in as the number 1 overall pick, there's the weight of expectation.
Right.
So the speed of the game is the first thing. You go even from being a national champion and playing the best college football has to offer to, again, it's funnels upon funnels, right? There's 400,000 guys that are eligible coming out of college football. There are 500 to 600 that get a shot in the league between being a draft pick and even an undrafted free agent.
Right.
You can do the numbers right there. Everybody was the best in their conference. Everybody was an award winner. Everybody was the best guy that anybody ever faced.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge, right? Because the level bumps up tremendously. So he's going to have that. He's going to have a new coaching staff to get used to, a new city, the responsibility being the first overall pick. And then he's just going to have to settle down and play ball. And the quicker he can do that, which is very difficult in all those circumstances, the better he will be. So the game has to slow down for him. That happens at different rates for different quarterbacks. The bottom line is, and this is for Raiders fans out there, all rookie quarterback years suck.
Right.
Like, there's not a good one. You can look at the best ever. You can look at Justin Herbert. Had a transcendent rookie year. Still wasn't a very good year overall.
Right.
You have to get it out of the way. There's just no way but to take the car out of the garage, go drive the road, put some dirt on it, and then it's like, oh, I learned all these lessons. We had some high moments, which there will be. There will be highlights in year one. But, is it going to be – it's going to be the building year. What does year 2 look like really depends on year 1.
EJ Snyder, Bootleg Football, is with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. With that being said, a lot of conversations been, you don't have to play him right away, right? John Swiatek said, don't get him, don't send the guy out there to get killed. Yeah. Tom Brady has talked about not putting a rookie out there right away. How quickly or how much patience should the Raiders have before they put him out there?
I think they probably will put him out there fairly quickly, but a lot more of that depends, I think, less on him and more on the offensive line.
Okay.
Because if they do not shore up the offensive line, they put him out there, they're asking for it.
Right.
And we've seen teams do that.
Yeah.
And the Raiders are in that position. The offensive line is not near as good as they want it to be.
Right.
It's not as far along the development curve as they want it to be. But the bottom line is, you don't get the first overall pick in the draft when you want it.
Right.
You get it when you get it, and you have to take that opportunity. Now, again, your control is whether or not you put him on the field. I think they're going to work really hard. I think they're going to try and follow the Chicago model with Caleb, which is we're going to go out and invest in the offensive line.
Agreed.
Really heavily. We're going to do that in the draft. We're going to do that in free agency. We're going to do that through a trade. We're going to do that any way we can because we know if we put anybody behind the line we have now, they have very little chance of success. We do not want to take first overall a guy that we believe has the ability to carry this franchise and get him smeared all over the field.
Got to have the protection.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And, they've got Rick Dennison in there now as the offensive line coach, so I feel like that they are more confident that at least he can do something with what they have. With that being said, clearly they need upgrades.
Yes.
Right? And so that's something that they have to do. What else would you do to make Fernando Mendoza more comfortable? And what I mean by that is, would you look at one of maybe his wide receivers he had in college and say that would be a good asset to bring into?
Absolutely. It can help, right? Because we talk about building chemistry. We talk about building timing. And that happens all over the NFL every year because there's so much movement.
Right.
At least 30% of every roster is going to move, sometimes up to 60, especially when there's a new coaching staff.
Right.
You're looking at 65 to 70% of that roster turning over in 18 months when you bring in a new regime.
Right.
That is just a fact.
And they have 25 free agents.
Right. So
they're
not going to be on the low end of that scale.
Exactly.
They're going to be on the high end of the scale. So whenever you can give yourself an advantage, right? Give yourself a little, we're talking about Mario Kart, the speed boost, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you're somebody you've already got years of experience throwing the ball to. If you're talking about Omar Cooper, right? He's been the talk of this week, and I think, again, when he goes out and runs here in a couple of days, that's only going to increase. Lots more people are going to go back to his film. That's going to become a legitimate option for them.
Right.
And they're probably looking at having some extra first-round picks here. It's probably where they're going to need to go get him after this week. But that would be a tremendous boost. Look, you've got a target you can count on as you learn to work with Brock Bowers, as you learn to work with other guys that we bring in. You've got a kind of easy card to play, and that's never a terrible idea. But, yeah, you've got to upgrade the targets. Obviously, you got Bowers. I think Genty's going to be one of the happiest guys on the planet.
Yes.
Because he's going to have a real offense in front of him.
Right.
He's going to have a better offensive line. They might not be done with that. There's a lot of work to do there. But it is all going to be a better situation than what he had last year. And I think he'll get to show out because I was a huge supporter of him. I think we talked last year about that. And I think he's a very good player. He showed flashes, but the bottom line is he was getting contacted on average 1.3 to 1.5 yards behind the line of scrimmage on average.
Yeah.
So no running back's going to look great. So there are some pieces in place here. You got to work on the offensive line. You do need more targets, but anytime you can give yourself that little easy pass that might get you a little farther down the field in the rookie season, can't hurt.
Is there any other wide receivers that you're looking at that you think, could be good targets? Maybe not first-round guys, but guys that you could look at, because what I'm hearing is a pretty deep wide receiver class.
It is a deep wide receiver class, and one of my favorite quotes in the week that I've been harping on all week is DJ said it's a flavors draft.
Okay.
And I love that.
I like that.
And in wide receivers, that is absolutely the case. There are a lot of different flavors here. Like you said, first-rounders, but first-rounders isn't a uniform bucket. There are first-round slot guys. There are first-round speed guys. There are the first-round sort of alpha, outside, with size, everything guys, what we traditionally think of as a number one. And, Denzel Boston's one of those guys.
Okay.
He played up in my neck of the woods at Washington. Great player. I think he's going to be awesome. He would probably require one of those additional first-round picks if you do trade max or something to go get, because he's going to go in the first round, but he is a potential franchise piece where you could set him outside at X, and he's going to go take care of business. Mekhi Lemon. Yeah, USC slot guy, incredibly talented, and some people say, well, it's not a number one, he's a slot. We've seen slots be the number one in the NFL, and with the way the NFL is moving, that could absolutely be a thing. But again, he's going to be off the board pretty quickly.
Is this week going to be big for him as far as measurement, size, and everything, just to confirm?
This week will probably only be really big for him if he's terrible.
Okay, I got you.
I think if he comes in the expected ranges, people are going to say, look at the tape.
He can play football.
The tape's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Like, we just want to make sure he doesn't run a 4.75 because then we're going to get worried. And I don't predict that's going to happen, but we've seen it happen before.
Right.
So if he comes in anywhere in that sort of middle expected 80% of the bell curve range, I don't think it's going to be a huge plus or minus because his tape is already speaking for him. You can help yourself if you're a couple tenths lower, sure.
Right.
But does it really mean anything? Only as a disqualifier.
Right. Okay. Well, that works. What about a guy like Zachariah Branch? I'm really high on Zachariah Branch, but I just don't know. I don't know his range in this draft. Is he a late first-round guy? Is he an early second-round guy?
I mean, late first round is always weird, right?
Yeah,
we know this because
feels
there's teams that some are looking to trade out, so he can become a late first rounder because somebody comes up in the second round to get him. I don't think that's the case necessarily with Zachariah Branch, but there's all these, this, from 25 to 32 gets really hard to predict because team might not be the team picking. Again, you're just going for best available. Sometimes positional value comes into it. Sometimes people start to take a flyer because there's not as much heat at the end of the first round. So it's like, hey, I can take an inside linebacker here.
Right.
I can take a safety. Nobody's going to get on me about it. I can take a tight end. Whereas if you're in the top 10 and you take a running back, it's just instant questions.
Yeah.
So I think Zachariah Branch is probably a second-round guy.
Okay.
But, again, could he be a first-round guy? Absolutely he could if somebody makes that jump. Is he going to be that sort of prototypical one guy? I don't know. I think he's probably a better two, and that's not a backhanded compliment, right? You need three guys.
Right.
If he is a very solid NFL number two, that's high praise.
Yeah.
So, I think he could fit there. Again, that's the thing about the Raiders is they've got the 25 free agents. They weren't in a great place to start with. They're starting over the new regime, new quarterback. They can really take advantage of this board as it falls to them.
Yeah.
And because it's not like, we need the best tight end, right?
Right.
We can go, we need that. Hey, a wide receiver we didn't think was going to be there, he fell.
Yes.
We're going to take advantage of that, right? And the best teams do that. They let the draft come to them. And the Raiders are in a great position to do that. I hope they do because it could improve their team more quickly, right? It's all about a slider. They're going to be a year and a half to 2 years away, but
for sure.
Is it going to be the year and a half or is it going to be 2.5? Well, if you make good decisions like that, it can be on the lower end of that, and that's good news for Raiders fans.
That's what makes all the sense in the world to me. Like, everyone's been saying this is not a stars draft, but it's a starters draft, and I said exactly what you said. Well,
good for us.
Yeah, exactly. They have all these needs, so starters are great.
Yeah.
Go get starters, and maybe you get lucky and one turns into a star like Max.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a fourth-round pick.
Absolutely, and that's the thing that people forget is, you're not going to get a Max Crosby in the – yeah, you did. You got him in the fourth round. He had a great athletic profile, and he's developed. And the guys that do develop, we talk about it as hitting green lights on our podcast, right?
Okay.
The guys that hit green lights, the guys that land in good situations, apply themselves, stay healthy, hit all the green lights, you see – the end result.
Right.
And then guys like Genty who hit 2 of the 3 green lights, he stayed healthy, he's a good player, he worked hard, he's in a bad situation.
Right.
We see it with quarterbacks all the time, but it goes for every position. Defensive linemen, linebackers, running backs, doesn't matter. So they can hit more green lights like that, but again, they're going to be able to take more swings or bites at the apple, if you will. And that's not a bad thing because there are a lot of players in the middle rounds of this draft that can help them right now because there's opportunity. And it's always great when you have a young player who's talented to say, you're coming in, you could start on this team.
Yeah.
Like, very easily. If you do what you need to do, you could be a starter for us.
Right.
That's incentive.
It is. It really is. And so I'm so intrigued by this to see how it all plays out, especially with having, almost $100 million in salary cap space as well. Obviously, you can do a lot in free agency. I think that's going to be the offensive line that they really address there as well. Well, let me ask you this, and we'll close out with this. It's fantastic. We found out the other day that the Raiders are going to a base 3-4 defense. Just found that out from Clint Kubiak. They've been 4-3 forever, right? And I know it's just kind of semantics here and there, but in this kind of draft, I mean, are there some guys that you're looking at maybe at the nose position that, the Raiders could benefit and really get that base 3-4 started with that guy?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, we just saw it today with the trade from Tennessee to the Jets.
Yeah.
Right? So those markets all heat up here, those conversations. All the free agency deals are being set in structure here in steakhouses around Indianapolis. Those trade discussions, people are talking about what it costs to move up in the draft right now. That doesn't happen on draft day. You don't have the time.
Right.
Everybody's saying, hey, so we're sitting at 17. If we were to come up to your pick at 11, what would that cost us? What's the framework? What's it look like? Are you taking offers? All those conversations are going on right now, and the Raiders are, being dynamic across that range. So it could be a trade.
Yeah.
Like, there are definitely players at the defensive tackle position who are on the block.
Right.
And they could say, hey, if we do this, we could reduce our need, or we could use those free agency dollars somewhere else, or we could use those draft picks somewhere else.
Right.
But if they do get all the way to the draft, they get through the trade market, they get through the free agency market, and they don't do that, there are players in this draft that could help them at that position. Again, you're going to need a guy that can help you get to third and long. Like, that's your job.
That's
Everybody wants that first-round defensive tackle that has pass rush ability. Those are the rare guys.
Right.
There's 2 or 3 of those in any given draft. And then there's lots of guys in the second and third round who can hold their own gap and maybe a gap and a half. That's where those guys go.
Yeah.
And then down in, like, the third through fourth and fifth rounds, you can get very solid nose tackles who hold their gap. Like, that's just where they go.
Right.
This draft is full of those guys.
Nice.
We talk about Dominique Orange, Big Orange out of Iowa State. He's a guy that can absolutely control that gap.
Okay.
D-Jack's kid. This was my ultimate brain melter yesterday.
Okay.
So Darrell Jackson Jr. from Florida State is D-Jack's kid.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
I was like,
wow.
What?
Yeah.
So the former Seattle wide receiver, Darrell Jackson, that's his son,
wow,
Darrell Jackson
I didn't know
Jr.
that.
Me neither.
Wow.
I'm like, what'd you do in the gene pool? Because D-Jack was not big. Darrell Jackson Jr., for those of you that don't know, is about 6'5", 330.
It's a monster.
10.5-inch hands. Like, he is a completely different animal.
Wow.
But another big, powerful guy you can drop in the middle of a defense. And those guys are down the board. Again, you're going to get less pass rush the farther you go, but that doesn't mean that you can't get either a starter or a good rotational guy to sit in the middle and get you to 3rd and 7. Then you can unleash whatever range of pass rushers you have.
That's what they need. That's what they're going to need. And obviously we'll see how this Max Crosby situation plays out. My gut feeling tells me he's going to be with the Raiders. That's just that's my gut feeling, but that's all that is. Sometimes it's gas.
Yeah.
I
love it.
It just kind of is what it is. But, I mean, that's the beauty of the offseason, right? That's the beauty of this time of year that all these, these rosters are being put together right now, right?
Yeah, this is team building. Like, this whole week, everybody talks about the spectacle. Everybody talks about the 40. A lot of people get, I'll just say, invested in the press conferences because, there's a lack of information and you start, putting food in the tank and all the fish come up.
Yep.
That's what happens this week. But what's really happening right now is this is how the sausage gets made.
Yeah.
This is team building.
Yep.
All those things I talked about. Trades. Can we move up? Can we move down? Can we get more picks? Are we going to keep our guys? Are we going to move those guys? Are we going to pay those guys? Because contracts are being negotiated right now, and you got to work them into the salary cap. All of that stuff is in high gear right now.
Yep.
And to me, as a guy that's interested in that, like deeply interested in that process, came from the draft side, but it's all the other elements. This is a fascinating week, and you know this when you go out to dinner and you look at the tables around you.
Exactly.
Like, oh.
Right. Yeah, they're not talking about how little Johnny's, soccer game went.
Now, they start that way, but it transitions pretty quickly.
EJ, fantastic stuff as always. Bootlegfootball.com. Tell everyone about it. Tell everyone what they can find and everything you got cooking.
Yeah, head over to YouTube. Look up Bootleg Football. We'll have a draft episode coming out every week.
Nice.
This year we also have a new project, which is a collaboration between us and the NFL Stock Exchange guys. That's Trevor Sickma and Connor Rogers, who you know from NBC. And we're calling that Blue Chip Committee. It is 4 2-hour-long episodes doing deep dives into draft stuff that we don't necessarily get to talk about on our own channels. You can find that on YouTube as well. First one's already out. Next one comes out next week, and then we'll have 2 more before the draft. But, yeah, just kicking and screaming, trying to get through prospect evals and enjoying the rest of it.
Absolutely. Well, it's always great, man, catching up with you. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
I guess I got to go try to work on my 40 time now.
I was going to say, if you're going to run a fast 40, you need a gas tank.
Exactly right. Let me get it.